Scott. Feel like some precious moments?
I live for those precious moments.
Looks like they're as happy to see us as Scott is to see them. Well, good day, Route 66ers. We are coming to you from the trail of Route 66 in Carthage, Missouri, and we are at the Precious Moments Chapel. This is it's gonna be quite a trip. Take a look. Daze with Jordan the Lion and your pal Scott Michaels.
Duly departed.
Begins right now. So yeah, if you've ever seen those figurines, those little children, I think I've been seeing them since I was a kid. See them a lot now in like Goodwill stores. That's Precious Moments, and they have a chapel here that I couldn't believe when I read about. We have to check this out. Look at this. Also, I'm super excited today because one of my favorite places that I've ever gotten to vlog is on our route today, and we're gonna stop and Scott and I are gonna hang out there for a little bit. Welcome. Once you enter, I mean, you basically enter a whole new world of Precious Moments. Take a look at this. They're all living their lives here, having a little city. And this way to the chapel. This should be fun. Gosh, just take a look at what we've already seen already since we walked in. This one says, "Follow me to the chapel." And then through these glass doors. On our way out to the chapel, they have little scenes like this. This is going to be exciting, seeing this chapel. Yeah, and we're noticing it's a bit of a walk back there, and I think that there is a driveway that takes you back there if you can't do the walk, but then you miss all of this on your way to the chapel. Yeah, there it is. It's kind of picturesque, isn't it, Scott? You got to admit.
It really is.
Right here in the dead center says created by Sam Butcher.
A guy did this?
I think this is Sam Butcher's grave over here, actually. Yes. As the bells go off, we are entering. Look, even the ceiling. This is really interesting. They do a full tour here, but we're not doing it. We were just kind of curious. Welcome to your heavenly home. And this is where we just walked in. Isn't this amazing? Then I just opened the door and it took us to all the stained glass. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. It tells a story here. It says 1998, Mr. Butcher received a letter from Dick Murray asking for tips on painting a mural for the church. One thing led to another, and ultimately Mr. Butcher began this painting with the intention of placing it in Mr. McMurray's church. When it was completed in the spring of 2001, Mr. Murray's circumstances had changed, and he graciously offered the opportunity for the painting to remain with the chapel so more people could see its symbolism. The chapel, complete with bell tower, a dream of Mr. Butcher's, represents God the Father. The bridge symbolizes Jesus the Christ. Holy Spirit is represented by the waterfall and flowing stream. The graduation photo of Sam Butcher, and that was made out to his mom and dad. And then these are the figurines that I always have seen. Look at the stained glass in here. It's all the birds. And they have a little mini chapel in here, like a kid's chapel. Philip's chapel, I believe that was his son who passed away. Because if you see, there's a empty bed. And then up here it says, "Welcome home, Philip." Then here's Jesus, and it says, "Will you be ready when Jesus comes?" So if you take a look at this, this is the original desk of Sam Butcher, where he first created Precious Moments. And then this was the very first Precious Moments mural. They got it and moved it here. And then it says this box held the very first catalogs that were ever shown at Sam Butcher's first convention in Anaheim. The desk is kind of interesting, isn't it? Family photos and such. Some of his art supplies. He made one for Loretta Lynn. She was one of his favorites. This one he made of Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. And there's a picture of him presenting it to Roy. Well, we had an interesting time here, but we're gonna move along Route 66. Our next stop is in Joplin, but boy, does it have nothing to do with Precious Moments. We are entering Joplin. We had to hop off of the Route 66 just for a little bit to see a historic site. I believe they used to have this open for tours. It is not open any longer, but this was the apartment of Bonnie and Clyde. They had a Joplin apartment in 1933 here. It says Clyde Barrow and Bonnie Parker, Buck and Blanche Barrow and W.D. Jones rented this apartment and holed up here for 13 days. On April 13th, 1933, law officers from Joplin Police Department and from Newton County seeking suspected bootleggers approached the dwelling. The outlaws opened fire on them, killing Joplin Detective Harry McGinnis and Newton County Constable J.W. Harriman. The Barrow gang escaped, leaving behind a roll of Kodak film that yielded the first publicly seen photographs of the infamous gang. So I'll show you some of the photos that they found. Isn't that crazy? This would have actually been, I believe it was 2, or now they consider it 2 addresses. It's like a half address, so probably turned into apartments at one time, maybe even now, but yeah. A shootout here with the Barrow gang. Oh yeah, Scott noticed there's like a bullet nick right up there. Wonder if that bell was always here. There you can see Scott's checking it out too. See kind of how big this place really was. All right, Cars fans, if you like the Pixar movie, which I do, we are going to Cars on 66. Oh, cool, look at that. That's a good use for a car you're not driving. I wonder what roadside stop that was down there at one time that's being overgrown. This place is called Hogs and Hot Rod Saloon, State Line. So we're very, very close to, I think, Kansas. Here's how state line we really are. I got 1 foot in Kansas, 1 foot in Missouri. Now I'm in Missouri, now I'm in Kansas. Now I'm in Missouri, now I'm in Kansas. So we should be heading into Galena, Kansas very shortly. That's where Cars on 66 is. All right, here's our special moment. If you like cars, we're pulling up right over this old Route 66 bridge. Should be right over here. Oh, there's Betty Boop. So the first sign of Radiator Springs that you see, we haven't even made it to Cars. That's right up here. You get the sheriff. They have a signed sheriff by the voice of the sheriff up here on a pole at Luigi's Pit Stop. And there are tons of really cool photo ops here. You can stick your head through. Very fun stop. Then over here you can see Dean Crazy Legs Walker apparently used to own this place. Here's Galena, and it says, "Let's all go to the lobby." That's awesome. Then a little end of the trail. And they have some more fun photo ops behind me. Check these out. You have this one here you can poke your head through so it looks like you're riding to San Francisco or Fillmore in a love bus. You can look like you're going from Kansas, and boy, that's a familiar face. Yes, to the Route 66. And this one you can sign. This one people have signed. And this one you can stick your head in and you can be a sunflower. A lot of fun. But check this out. Look at this mural in here. To Galena. This is like the 1940s Griswolds. You got this kid blowing snot rockets out of his nose. You got grandma back here. She's blowing bubbles. He and the dog just want to get there. Dad's smoking a cigarette. Glad he's not at work. Mom just glad she's alive after dealing with this bunch. Oh, look at this. They have Betty Boop out here. And a little yellow brick road. Out here you can see people have put all the states that are on Route 66, some of the notable towns, and the states continue on. But I noticed there used to be a muffler man down here who's gone. All there is left is his legs. Here's a ghost bike placed here in tribute to the bicyclist hit on Route 66. Once here was a 19-foot homemade version of a modern muffler man. Now, just thy legs. That's a bummer. Here it is. Cars on the Route 66. You gotta love it. Canotex, Kansas, Texas. Says they're open on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we're here Sunday. You gotta love it. Tomater. These were inspirations for the movie Cars. As I understand, it was just, you know, the idea of someone that had an old car they weren't using, threw some eyeballs and some teeth on there, and it took on a life and a character of its own that eventually was voiced by Larry the Cable Guy. Says these were the inspiration for Tomater, 1951. In Galena, Kansas, we found a lonely old tow truck that most folks would pass by without a second glance. Our head of story, Joe Rampt, however, saw beyond the rust and broken down parts. He saw the inspiration for the character Mater. They soon became kindred spirits. Joe gave Mater his warmth, his sense of fun, his humble and generous spirit, and his capacity to see and bring out the best in others. That is so great. So that's our original tow Mater. These are great. Just so you can see what we were missing out on. Not a whole lot, but it's the people that make it, so I was hoping to get to meet her. Here they have a picture of Joe Rampt checking out. He's the head of story. He was checking out the tow Mater. And here's actually the sun visor signed by Larry the Cable Guy. So yeah, this was the original tow Mater. Look at this building across the street. Oh, and we're 1,004 miles away from one of the greatest attractions on Route 66. And Galena is definitely, you know, like the movie, just kind of like a deserted town that you could tell used to have something going on. I mean, look at that old Pepsi. People used to hang out in this town. They used to have a life in this town. Now looks like it's kind of minimal from what we're checking out. Stopped here. They have a little bit of Roadside America here, like the Galena jail over here in the corner. This is Pappy Litch Park, Galena, Kansas. Some murals. There's a little thing to Will Rogers. Here's the Galena jail. Yikes! Opens up right there. In you go. So here's a great mural for the route. America's Main Street. You see they're working on cars in there. Here we have a dedication, a little plaque to Will Rogers Highway, humorous world traveler and good neighbor. Main Street of Highway 66 was the first road he traveled in a career that led him straight to the hearts of his countrymen. There he is. Isn't this great, Scott? Mm-hmm. And take a look at this. This old Texaco. There's the judge. Isn't this great? Gosh, this is still in Galena. Right around the corner from where we just saw the Will Rogers. I guess times got rough and Big Boy had to quit doing the burger gig and had to get into the tire gig. That's all right. Everybody's got to make ends meet. Main Street of Route 66 in Galena has not disappointed at all. Nice Galena mural. Wow. So they freshened up this Coca-Cola mural. They got Coke on one side and Pepsi represented on the other. Not to be outdone. Beautiful day today. We read about this place on the trail as well. It's called Nelson's Old Riverton Store. Check out a little bit of it just to see what the history is of it. Oh, cool. Literally just an old store. Looks like they have a lunch counter here making sandwiches. Huh, cute little place. So we just took a little spike off the road, literally like Route 66 is right beside here, to drive over this. This is the Rainbow Bridge. they have here. Rainbow Curve Bridge. Only remaining marsh arch bridge on Route 66. We had to do it. We had to. Uh-oh, do you feel it buckling, Scott? Me either. Now, if you're following along on your map, we're headed to Baxter Springs. Yeah, that's nice. Little roadside Kansas sunflower. We swung off to the Baxter Springs Route 66 Visitor Center because it's here at this old Phillips station. I just thought that was so cool. They got the old pumps out front. Not like we haven't seen that stuff on this route already, but it's still really cool, in my opinion, to see the buildings and things like this that still remain. It says it was built in 1930 by the Independent Oil and Gas Company. This Tudor Revival style gas station was purchased by Phillips 66 Petroleum the same year. The original house-style brick building was modified in the 40s to the L-shaped plan seen today. Gas was sold and vehicles were serviced here in Baxter Springs through the 1970s. Look at the old pumps. I love it. Well, on we go. Goodbye Route 66, Tin Man. What the heck? The Ritz Theater. I think that's Christy Brinkley in front of us. I'm sad we're leaving Kansas, but we are entering Oklahoma, so that's okay. At least we have a new adventure ahead of us. I know Scott doesn't really care that much about baseball history, but he's being a good sport, and he's going to play baseball with me when we come out here because we are going to the childhood home of the greatest switch hitter of all time, in my opinion, the great Mickey Mantle. We're going to Commerce, Oklahoma. Hey, look at this place. It's not open today, but it's Dallas's Darriette. Proud to be on Route 66, apparently. We're in Oklahoma, and this is the town of Quapaw, and they pride themselves on being where the East meets West. Right outside of Mickey Mantle Field for Commerce High School in Commerce, Oklahoma, the class of '49 put a statue to the great one, Mickey Mantle. Now what's interesting is in Tulsa, they have another statue like this, except since he was a switch hitter, they have him batting the opposite way. Look up there, you can see his face. The face of one of the most influential baseball players for making young boys want to play baseball in his generation ever. And I love this. Right below the statue, they have his great number 7, which is retired by the Yankees, and they made it on like a baseball diamond. And we're only about a mile from his childhood home. Also nicknamed the Commerce Comet. Here it is. I love it. Just like it was when he was here. I mean, well, definitely more run down because, you know, Mickey was huge in the 50s, but right here they have indeed a sign that says the boyhood home of Mickey Mantle, the Commerce Comet. He lived here with his mother and father, and when his dad would get off work every day, they would go over there and play baseball right in front of that barn. His dad would pitch to him. Mickey was a great hitter, great thrower. Said that that's where he learned how to be a switch hitter. So they have some of the history on a plaque here, and it says, when Mickey was 3 years old, the family moved to this location. At the age of 5 or 6, his father started teaching him how to hit. They used the tin barn as their backstop. Mutt, his father, would pitch righty, and Mickey's grandfather would pitch left while teaching him the fine art of switch hitting. Every day he and Mickey would start batting practice that lasted until dark. They made up games to add some fun to Mickey's batting lessons. A ball hit below the roof, a triple over the house was a home run. Mickey once said, "I was the only kid in town that didn't get in trouble for breaking a window." Mutt's dream and Mickey's hard work took him from the lead and zinc mining district in Oklahoma to Mickey's Comet blasted onto the national scene in the 1950s to become a great American icon. He entertained the world with his boyish Oklahoma charm and his amazing Paul Bunyan-like heroic. His tremendous popularity is what sparked the massive sports memorabilia industry that continues to flourish to this day. That's true. One of the most sought after items other than a Babe Ruth autographed baseball is always Mickey Mantle autographed baseball. So they keep cameras on the house, which is great because they make it available to where if you look through the window you can kind of see the inside of the house. It wasn't a very big house at all. And this, man, how cool. Think of that. Like Mickey batting right there. His dad standing right over here, and anything over the house, if you broke a window. Isn't that amazing? I got to come out here, I think, maybe 3-4 years ago. Never thought I would ever make it out here again. Just had one of the most moving experiences of my life out here, because I didn't grow up a Yankee fan, but I grew up a baseball fan, and I've heard about Mickey Mantle my whole life, and his rookie card is one of the most expensive rookie cards and most collectible in the sports industry. Look at that. Look at this. There's all kinds of remnants, loose pieces of wood from the barn in here. People write their name. I did last time I was here. I figured probably no harm. Look inside his family barn. Probably would have parked the family vehicle in here. His father, Mutt. Oh, wow. Yeah, they leave just like one window everywhere so you can kind of see in. So let's look inside the house while we're here. So I thought it was kind of funny that when we were in Springfield, they were selling Abraham Lincoln baseballs. And I knew we were coming here, so I got one so Scott and I could pass the ball around while we were here. So I was reading all of this off of that. They did a home restoration in 1938, it said, when Mickey was 7. There you can see in the family living room. He got a lot of love and attention. And then he was a legendary drinker and partier, and he could still go in the next day and just wall up the ball. He still could perform at a high level, even hungover. And here's a look into the kitchen. I mean, you know, my family were Reds fans, so we loved Johnny Bench, and I remember reading up when Johnny Bench said Mickey Mantle inspired him. And in fact, he said, you know, seeing Mickey Mantle, seeing that he could be that good and that he was from Oklahoma and that he was a switch hitter and everything, he said that inspired me because I wanted to play baseball and be a good baseball player too, and I had a lot of ability. But when I saw Mickey Mantle, I knew, hey, that's a guy from near where I'm from. If he can do it, I can do it. They leave rips in the fabric and stuff just big enough to see in, which is great because it probably keeps the light from destroying the inside. This would have been Mickey's bedroom. I have been to Johnny Bench's childhood home in, I think it was Binger, Oklahoma, but his house is in nowhere near as good a shape as this. The city does not have control of that one and make it a historical landmark like this one. This is great. Scott, you're making my wish come true. Thank you. You warned me that you were not the greatest at this, but it doesn't take much, so all I wanted was just some passing back and forth, you know, like, it's one of those places I would have loved to have come to with my grandpa when he was younger. If I could have, you know, my brother got to take some trips with him across country, but I never got to. But this is one of those places, doing Route 66, I always thought would be cool with my grandpa, and stopping at Mickey Mantle's house, I know he would have loved. We're gonna leave the Mickey Mantle house, and there's something else we're gonna see here in Commerce on Route 66. It's so cool to see how original. If you walk around, you can tell that the city's added some new bolts and stuff and places to keep things on, but most of that is all original. All right, so just 2 minutes past. Check this out. Apparently here in Commerce, Bonnie and Clyde had an episode in April of 1934. The infamous couple and their partner Henry Methvin got stuck in a muddy ditch here, and a passing motorist saw the gun-toting trio and notified the Commerce police. The local chief of police and constable drove to the spot, and they approached the car, received a barrage of bullets. The fugitives killed Campbell and wounded then kidnapped Chief Boyd. Boyd was released the next day at Fort Scott, Kansas, 70 miles north. Wow. Apparently that happened here. And then look at this, right across the street, even though it's not open, people are talking about online how great this is, the Dairy King. Look at this, it looks like an old service station, doesn't it? Probably because at one time it was. Yeah, this used to be a Marathon gas station. It was built in 1927. And then in the 30s it was bought by the Broyles family, who turned it into a soft serve ice cream. Functioned as a Tidal station from 51 to 1980. And then the family that bought it turned it back into a Dairy King, or turned it back into a ice cream parlor. Love that they kept the marathon aspect to it. As we were heading out of town, we turned around in a parking lot and noticed that this is named after Mickey's dad, Mutt Mantle, father of the great Mickey Mantle. As we leave Commerce, you'll notice that the water tower is even painted with a 7 on there in the pinstripes for Mickey Mantle and Route 66. I've heard many things about Wayland's Hamburgers the Cuckoo, so we're trying them. And by golly, I love their neon sign. That is awesome. Oh no, I'm seeing a sign that says lobby closed, drive-through only. Okay, well, I guess we're eating in the car. Oh boy, this should be good. No indoor dining, but they do have tables kind of out back that we can make the best of it.
And there's no feces. There's no...
Not yet!
No.
I don't know what Scott says, but my bag says delicious. So they are about the size of a McDonald's cheeseburger from looking in the bag. Like a double cheeseburger, that's what... I ordered a double cheeseburger and they're about that size. About the size of a double cheeseburger from McDonald's, would you say?
Yeah. I like the bun better.
I don't know if I do. I haven't tasted it yet. Hey, that's great. That's really good. That is a pretty dang good burger. All right, that is the end of our day today on Route 66. We are going to end it in Miami, Oklahoma. People have corrected me when I called it Miami and said, no, it's not, it's Miami. So there you go. And home of one of my favorite wrestlers, Rolando Freeman. So Scott, did you have a good day today?
You know, I've been wearing baseball caps for decades, and today's the first time in decades I actually threw a baseball, and that made me feel pretty good.
At Mickey Mantle's house, that was pretty cool.
I mean, that was outstanding. No, I love that, and thank you for taking me.
You're very welcome. We're gonna call it a day here, but we are gonna start up here again tomorrow and continue west. Have a great night and goodbye.